so we're here to talk about the A minor pentatonic scale and why it's so great, and particularly position 1. Now if you look on YouTube, you'll see 8 zillion videos all showing you about the A minor pentatonic scale, and they all, not all of them, but a lot of them approach it in a very similar way. They say A minor pentatonic, start on fret 5 on the E string, then go to fret 8, 5, 7, 5. You'll have seen it millions of times where you're getting this, right? And you'll be going, oh, I'm just so fed up with hearing all that. And then it'll go on to show you various licks in A minor pentatonic. So you end up with knowing about this A minor pentatonic scale. You know about the notes in it and you know about the licks. And that's about it. Okay? And that's a lot of guitar players kind of just, that's where they are with the A minor pentatonic scale. They can play it and they can play the licks, but they don't know anything more about it. So let's talk about what it is, why it is, and why it's so cool. So pentatonic, pent, a few mathematicians out there know that pent means 5. It's a 5-note scale. So what are the 5 notes and why are those 5 notes chosen? Okay, so the 5 notes are the 1, the flat 3, the 4, the 5 and the flat 7. What does that mean? Okay, so let's talk about what that means. Everything, not everything, but most things in music relate back to the major scale. So let's just talk about the major scale for a second. So the major scale in A would be this. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then back to the 1. Now our pentatonic scale is derived from this major scale, the pentatonic major and the pentatonic minor. We're doing pentatonic minor now. So we take the 1, we take the 3, but we flatten it, so it's a minor third. So it's a 1 minor third, or flat third. Okay. Then we take the 4, we take the 5, and we take the flat 7th. Okay. Why are we taking those notes? We're taking those notes largely because of the A minor chord. The A minor chord is made up of the 1, the flat 3, and the 5. Okay. Now, after that, we've got the 4 and the flat 7 added in, all right? So those notes are also harmonically compatible with A minor, okay? That's probably the best way to think about it. So let's think about this. We've got 5 notes. 3 of those notes are chord tones. So 3 of those notes are going to sound really strong against the A minor chord, right? They're going to sound great. So you've got that, the 1, the flat 3 and the 5. They're always going to sound great against that A minor chord because they're notes that are from that A minor chord. Then you've got the 4 and the flat 7. Right. So they're if you like, a tiny bit of spice on top of your chord tones. Your chord tones are like your bread and butter, really. They're going to sound great. Your 4 and your flat 7, you need to be a little bit more careful with them. They're going to add a little bit of flavour to your playing. Right, so this is the way to think about the pentatonic scale. The important thing is that all the notes are not equal, right? And this is a common mistake, that people learn the pentatonic scale and they think, well, I can play any notes over an A minor blues and they're all going to sound great. That's not necessarily the case. So try and think about each note as being a little cartoon character, if you like. It's got its own personality, okay? So let's talk about the personalities of these notes. So we've got the 1, okay? So we've got the 1 there, we've got a 1 there, and we've got a 1 there. This is in position 1, all right? So the 1 is home. Just think of it as home. I don't know, a cartoon character that's homely. You can think of your own one there. Maybe, what's his name? Simpson. Who's the father, Simpson? I don't know much about the Simpsons. It's not Bart, he's the kid, isn't he? That'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, so Homer, that's the one. So maybe this could be Homer. Homer, there we go. So this could be Homer Simpson. So Homer Simpson, we always want to come home to Homer Simpson, okay? Home is really important. So we start on home, and we often start on home, we move away from home, and we come back to home. Right, so this is home. Right, now we've got the flat 3. Now the flat 3 has got a lot of character. Perhaps we should make these all Simpsons characters, I don't know. Right, so the flat 3, maybe that's going to be Bart. Okay, so the flat 3's got a lot of character and it really helps define the chord. Okay, it helps define the scale because it's minor. That flat 3 defines it as minor. So that flat 3 has got a lot of character. It's a very strong note, it's a very stable note. You can rely on it, you can land on it and stay on it. You don't have to move off it. You can land on it and rely on it, okay? So that's your character for your flat 3. Now, let's skip the 4 for a second. Let's do the 5 because it's a chord tone. Now the 5 is a bit similar to the 1, okay? It hasn't got massive amounts of character. And again, I mean, this is partly subjective, but so some of you may disagree with that, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. As long as you give characterization, you understand how these notes work, it doesn't matter. So the 5 isn't massively interesting, but it's very, very stable. It's a very stable note, okay? It's probably the most stable note after the 1, but it hasn't got lots of character. The 3 is stable, but it's got lots of character to it. So that's the 5. So let's go on to the 4 and the flat 7. Let's do the flat 7 first, okay? Now the flat 7 has got a lot of character to it. It's got a bluesy one. Perhaps you could have that as whatever Bart's sister's called. I don't know that, right? Okay, so the flat 7's has got a lot of character to it. It's not massively stable low. What it wants to do is it wants to go back home. So it wants to go. This is like. Is it Marge? No, Marge is the mum. Whatever the girl's called, right? Maybe she wants to go back to Homer a lot, I don't know. So this one wants to go, so this flat 7 wants to go to the root note. Okay, it wants to go there. So it's a really cool note to put in, but you don't want to make it too much a part of your melody. Alright, and then we've got the 4. Now the 4's a little bit awkward. I don't know a Simpsons character that's awkward, but maybe you can think of another one, I don't know. So this 4, the 4's okay, but it's probably my least favourite note out of these, and I think you need to be quite careful with it. The 4 and the flat 7 are not notes you don't want to play them too much. You don't want to land on them too much and stay on there. Think of them more as passing notes that you're going to move on from. So maybe think of the flat 7 as wanting to go to the root, and think of the 4 as wanting to go to the 5. Now if you start thinking about your pentatonic scale like this, you're starting to unlock the secrets of it. It's becoming a lot more interesting. So let's talk about how we could use this to our advantage. We'll add the blues note in a minute. So typically in a minor blues, a lot of players will start with this note. Okay, if you ask a guitarist to play A minor blues, most of them are going to start around here and do something like that. Okay, so why is that good? Let's talk about why it's good. That's our root note. Okay, we're going from root to minor third. Often that minor third is bent a quarter tone. That's quite a bluesy sound. Now I'm going root, minor third, 4, and then I'm going back to minor third, and then back to the root again. So I'm starting off from home here. Then I'm doing a little journey away from home. Think of the notes as I don't know, Homer's visiting his members of his family or something like that, and then he's coming back home again. Now it doesn't matter. Kind of doesn't matter what order he visits his family in, as long as he visits his family and comes back to home. Most of the time it's going to sound really good. That's not strictly the case, but you can use that as a bit of a general rule. So I'm going 1, minor third, 4, and back home again. Now I've created I've got stability with a bit of character, a little bit of tension, stability with character, back to home. That's why it works. A lot of music works like this, where you've got consonance and dissonance, you've got stability and tension. I'm creating stability, character, a little bit of tension, and then back home again. Now I could then go, why does that work? Because I've gone 1, flat 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's a chord tone, and then I've come back down. I've come back down the path the same way I went up it. So I've taken the listener that way, and I've taken them back down again. So it's a little journey. And at the end now, what do I do at the end? I'm not really sure. Okay, I went 5 here, flat 7, root. Okay, or I could go 5, flat 7, put a chromatic note in. My chromatic note's working because it's connecting this flat 7 to this root note. So all the time, why does that work? So I'm bending up that note to the 5. I'm hitting another 5 there. I'm hitting a root note there. Okay, and then I'm playing this G note, and I'm bending up to this. Tiny bit out of tune, sorry. I'm bending this note up to the root here. So there's a lot of chord tones going on there. Chord tone, chord tone to chord tone, 5, 5, root, root. All right, so that's a really strong. It's a very typical blues lick, but that's why it works well. There's a reason it works well. So you can experiment around with these things and play around with them, but try and think about why these things work. If I move into position 2, for example, I could move to this note, which is the same as this, isn't it? I'm going root, minor 3rd, 4, bend into the 5, back to root. I said I'd mention the blues note. Typically it's played there. We can play it here, which is cool. I'll do that in a minute. So this is the flat 5. That means loads of character, okay? It's a really interesting, really super spicy note, but it's also a bit of a dangerous note. What's a dangerous Simpsons character? I don't know. So think of a dangerous Simpsons character, okay? Now we don't want to land on that note and just stay on it. It wants to resolve, and it kind of wants to resolve back down to that root. Now I'm going into it from the 4, flat 5. But I could go into it from here, the flat 5 into the 5 here. So that would be another way. I like it like that, it's a bit jazzy. And I could hit it here as well. Okay, so think about the notes you're playing. Don't just play them randomly. Think about hitting those chord tones. Think about being a bit careful with that 4 note, resolving it to the 5. Think about the flat 7 resolving to the 1. Resolve the flat 7 to the 1 via a little chromatic note maybe. Think about thirds. Thirds are so cool, all right? We haven't talked at all about, say, in a blues when we're going from that A minor to that D minor, but we could think about following the thirds there, following the minor thirds. Following the minor thirds in a minor blues, or the major thirds in a major blues, is such a powerful thing to do. Perhaps do that in another video. Hope that was cool. Please subscribe. See you next time.